Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, Thank you so much, guys, for getting on the webinar tonight. So if you can hear me and you can see me, I've got the chat enabled. I'm going to go ahead and type in there, and would love it if you guys would just give me some feedback, make sure you can hear me and see me. And the reason I always ask that is because the very first webinar I did with my upline, the master distributor in my company, we were doing it and he didn't broadcast it. So here we were doing this whole webinar and nobody could see us or hear us. I don't think, maybe they could hear us. I can't remember, but it was crazy. So that's why I always ask. So anyway, I appreciate you guys taking the time out. I am Emily Quisenberry, and I'm going to wait to get a response here before I move on. I see somebody has their hand raised. So there is a little box up in the right-hand corner of your screen that you can kind of click on, and it should bring up a chat box. And that way you can let me know, if you can. I'm just checking to see who's here. If you can hear me and see me. So Chris Duncan, I saw that you were there, and Vicky Shaw. So if you guys could maybe give me a little feedback here and let me know that we're good to go, and we will jump right into tonight's training, which I am super excited to share with you guys. It's something that I have utilized a lot in my own business, and so I'm excited to share that with y'all. I'll wait till I get a response back from someone and just check it. Oh, good. Okay, Vicky says yes. Jeff says hello. Hey, Jeff. Good to have you on tonight. Awesome. I'm glad y'all can hear and see me. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shift over, and you're going to be able to see, rather than see me, you're going to see my PowerPoint. And that way you can really see the what the material and stuff. But this is what I want, guys. I really want this to be interactive. So what I'm going to do is back and forth. I'm going to flip back over to the main screen. I know y'all don't really know what I'm saying when I say that, but I want you, if you have questions as we're going through the material, I really want you to type into the chat box what your question is. And even if I haven't come back over, once I do, I can scroll through those and see what questions you might have, because I want to make sure that I address them. And awesome. Great, Jacqueline. Good to have you. Thanks so much for the feedback. So I'm going to switch over real quick, and I'm pretty sure I'm doing this all right, but you never know. So I'll come back and ask you guys too. Once I get the PowerPoint up, I want y'all to let me know that you can see the PowerPoint. So at this point, you should be able to just see the PowerPoint. So if you guys could let me know that you can see it and that you're not seeing me, that would be awesome. Okay, just getting everything set up. So I'm hoping y'all can see the PowerPoint. Let me know that you can. Awesome. Okay, perfect. So we are going to get started, guys. I just want to say welcome. I am thrilled that you're here tonight. My purpose is really to pour value into your business and to help you guys build a rock solid business. And there are really some key things that every home business owner needs to know. And there really are just 5 simple skills that we all need to know and master. And I want you to know that it doesn't happen overnight. When you say yes to a home business or network marketing business or direct sales, it's a process. Most of us, even if we've been super successful in some other part of our life, this is something new. And we have to plug into what our team is teaching and really become a student. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But So I just want to really briefly tell you guys who I am. Emily Quisenberry. I'm a wife of 22 years and a mom to 3 amazing kiddos, and that's my family. We love the beach. And part of my dream for my business is for us to be able to spend a lot more time at the beach. We absolutely love it. I am a serial entrepreneur and a 9-to-5 job rebel. I have been for most of my adult life. I love being an entrepreneur, but I love network marketing. I think it is the best form of capitalism around today. I actually have 20 years of experience in old school network marketing, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight. But about 18 months ago, I decided to expand online to leverage the internet. And I really knew that there was a way to do that professionally and to set myself up as a credible leader, but I didn't know how to do it. And so I spent about $13,000 in 18 months to learn that. And I'm definitely have really gotten connected with a gal who's teaching me and training me on how to do that. And I'm so, so grateful because I really do believe it's a key component. It's not the only component by any stretch. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But my passion, guys, is really to change lives. It's to help you sidestep the pain, difficulty, and expense that I have experienced, and to maybe help shorten your learning curve so that you can really begin to build the business that you desire and really build that foundation in your business. So tonight we're going to talk about how to build a big global team. And, you know, it really does boil down to 5 key skills that we're going to talk about. The first, and it's actually known as the 5-step persuasion system. That's what we call it in our team. And it really is a system, and the beauty of it and what I love about systems is that you always know where you are in the system when you're working with a prospect. And you'll see what I mean in just a minute, but it's a powerful system to learn and to put into practice. The 5 steps are, the first one is invitation. The second one is presentation. The third one is validation. The fourth is enroll your new teammate or set follow-up. And your fifth is a getting started strategy session and team building. And guys, truthfully, success in network marketing boils down to mastery of these skills. Now, that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to happen by getting into on-the-job training. It's going to come through learning, plugging into trainings, reading, listening, going to events, putting yourself in positions to grow and to stretch. And then you got to practice. You cannot be in learning mode all the time. My biggest advice to you is to learn a little bit and go put it into practice. And we're going to talk about more later about how to really leverage this system. So let's dig in and talk about the invitation step. Truthfully, in this 5-step persuasion system, you are going to spend the vast majority of your time between step 1 and 2. You will go into step 3 as well, but you'll see what I mean. And I want you to think about, I didn't put this in the PowerPoint, but I want you to think in terms, as we're going through this, I'm sure everybody knows what a funnel looks like. And a funnel is really wide at the top. And then it gets, you know, obviously skinnier as you go down to the bottom. Well, I want you to think about that when you first invite somebody to take a look or hear the story of your business and your company, you're putting them in that funnel, okay? And they're going into the top of that funnel. Now, we know that every single person we talk to is not going to come out the bottom, and especially not right away. They may come out eventually. But that's why the funnel gets skinnier and skinnier, okay? And so this process, if you'll think of it in those terms, that step 1 is the widest part of the funnel. And then step 2 is going to be the next part of the funnel that gets a little narrower. Step 3 is narrower. Step 4 is even narrower than that. And step 5 is even skinnier than that. So if you'll think in terms of that, I think it will help you to understand how you're going to move people through this 5-step persuasion system. So number 1, the invitation process is really about finding people to talk to. Okay, it's prospecting. And there's really 3. Well, you have to learn how to develop a huge network. That is part of having, your own business. And it is a skill, guys, that you can learn. That's what I want you to know about this entire process. No matter where you are, you can learn this. And if you are committed to the process. There's really 3 different types of networks that we're going to be talking about. Well, not talking about, but that we are going to actually, that make up this invitation part. Okay, you've got your warm market. And everybody knows when you get in network marketing, you create your list and then you categorize that list into, I kind of go through it and ask myself certain questions, like if they're entrepreneurial, if they're motivated, and do they have an interest in the product line? Would they have an interest in that? Are they discontent where they are? You know, things like that we may know about someone. And the people who have the most checklists, the most checks by their name, are the one I'm going to contact first. So that's your warm market. I'm not going to go into a huge big detail about this because I have a whole other training that if you haven't gotten that yet, I'm going to give you the link for at the end of the presentation or at the end of the PowerPoint training. And you can grab that free training up and learn a lot more about step 1. The second network we're talking about is cold market. And it's really important to learn how to connect and build rapport in the cold market. And guys, I'm just going to tell you, I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't have that kind of personality. I'm really quiet, or I'm shy, or I don't talk well to people. You know what? That's something you can choose to overcome. It may not come as naturally as it does to some other people. Some other people, that's their personality, and that's okay. They're going to struggle with another area in this business that you probably won't. So don't ever use maybe something that is within your own personality or something as an excuse. Okay, use it as your reason to do it. The third market is online. And I'll just tell you, I see 95% of people in network marketing, and it may be even higher than that, doing it wrong. And they're just not adding value to the marketplace. They're actually just kind of spamming their links up on their wall and messaging people on Facebook. And, you know, it's a hot mess. So if that's something you want to know, then you need to learn the skills to do it, and you can absolutely learn them. Basically, step 1 is about inviting people to take a look or to hear the story. There's different ways that you can phrase that, but that's the whole point. It's finding people to talk to through prospecting, and then it's inviting them to take a look. And the goal of inviting them is to get them to a presentation of some sort. I don't know what you use specifically, but you know, generally in this industry, we do a lot of one-on-ones or 3-way calls. We do group presentations. There's even big group meetings that people maybe use, webinars, sizzle calls. There's all different kinds of presentations that you can use, but the goal is to get them to a presentation. Okay, I'm going to jump back over real quick and see if there's any questions. No questions so far. Okay, good. So if you do have questions, though, don't forget to type them in the chat, and then I'll definitely come back over and answer them. Okay, so let's move on to step 2. So step 2 of the 5-step persuasion system is presentation. Okay, presentation is after you've invited them and you set that time to get back together with them, because again, the step 1 is not the presentation step. Okay, it is a quick, it's a quick invitation to ask them to hear the story or take a look to hear a presentation. So in the presentation step, you're actually going to share a tool. And like I said a minute ago, there are so many different tools. You've got videos, DVDs, CDs, sizzle calls, webinars, magazines. Guys, I recommend whatever your company has, whatever your team uses, maybe grab one tool and wear it out. Okay? Don't be jumping all over the place and saying, I'm going to try a magazine with this person and a sizzle call with that person and a link to a video with this person. No, pick one tool and wear it out. Now, if you may choose one tool in your warm market and you may choose one tool in your cold market. That could be a possibility. But the only way you're going to know if something works is to test it on a large number of people. Okay. I think that one of the biggest issues that we have in this industry is that we try something maybe once, twice, three times, and then we think it doesn't work. But the truth is we just haven't tried it enough. So I want you to commit in this presentation step to the tool. I want you to pick out the tool that you are going to use with your warm market. And then I want you to wear that tool out. I want you to pick the tool that you're going to use with your cold market. And I want you to wear that tool out. Okay. The presentation, the actual presentation is generally going to be a phone call. In my business, it's 95% of my business is done on the phone. And I love it because I can do that from anywhere. And I can be talking to anyone, right? They don't have to live in my neighborhood. And I love that too. The other reason I love it is because it gives you a much better way to support your team. So if you're not using the phone and specifically three-way calls, that's another big piece of it. And I'll tell you, earlier in my business career, not now, but earlier, I was not a fan of three-way calls. They made me feel uncomfortable because I didn't really know what to expect. I thought maybe the person that I was bringing onto the call might feel like they're being coerced or tried to be convinced, because maybe I didn't trust the person that was doing the call with me, didn't have enough trust there. But you've got to find the leader on your team that you trust and that can really help you with the presentation part, especially if you're new. If you're new, obviously the goal is mastery over the presentation so that you can tell the story, so that you can share the information in a conversational way. And the beauty of all of this, guys, this 5-step persuasion system is that in the weeks and months to come, I'm going to drill down on each of these steps on the webinars, and we'll talk really specifically about how you can master these and what that looks like. We're just going in generalities right now. The purpose of the presentation of step 2 is to provide more information from what the tool gave them, to answer their questions, obviously, and then to move them to a validation call. I'm going to pop over again and see. No questions? Okay. So let's jump into step 3. Step 3 is validation. Now, some people may or may not have this in their, I know a lot of teams in network marketing have a 5-step system that they use. In our team, we feel that this is very important. I have some very successful leaders in our team that have massive industry experience. And this is a step that I've learned over the last really 13, 14 months that has been a game changer in my business. So I highly recommend that once you've done your presentation, especially if you're doing your own presentations, you're going to move people to a validation call. And a validation call is powerful. And the reason it is because it's third party. You're bringing, it's not just your voice, okay? You've given them a tool. That wasn't your voice. It was something else, which is powerful. Then you've come in and reinforced. And then for somebody who's interested, now guys, not everybody's going to move to a validation call. Remember we talked about the funnel? So the people that are going to move to the validation call are the people at the end of the step 2 presentation step. I always ask when I'm meeting with a prospect. So, hey, listen, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being, you know, I'm not interested at all, and 10 being, I am ready to jump in and get going, where are you? And that way I have a really good idea. And when anybody that's 6 or above, I move to a validation call, okay? Because that means there's a high enough interest that it just may be, and I usually try to determine what that is that's holding them back. But the validation call is super powerful because it introduces your prospect to your upline leader. I just did one today, guys. Like I told you, I've got a lot of industry experience. I can totally handle inviting somebody, presenting to them, doing any validation and enrolling them and getting them started without ever talking to an upline leader. But guys, that is not a good method. And the reason it isn't because you want to model to that prospect the system that your team follows. You want them to see that this is a team effort. That's the beauty of network marketing, right? We learn how to leverage our team. And so you try to match, I try to match any prospect that I'm talking to the upline leader I want to introduce them to. Okay. And if I know certain things and I think they're going to resonate well, then that's the one. Now, you may only have one person that you can go to. If you don't have somebody right now that you can go to, I'm just going to tell you guys, you've got to track upline and you got to find the person making the money. You got to pick up the phone and you got to call them and you got to say, listen, this is, Jenny, whatever. And I live here in such and such city, and I am absolutely going to be tearing my business up. And I would like to ask for your help. And just tell them a little bit about yourself and ask them to help you. And a true leader will do that. They will reach down no matter how far down you are in their team and help. You want to do a validation call quickly. So after step 2, the best thing to do, like I said, ask them where they are, and then they're going to tell you. And then I always say, well, then the next step is, okay, the prospect doesn't know the process. They don't know the 5-step persuasion system. So it's our job to be leading them and guiding them. So I'll tell them, let's say the next step is for us to get on the phone with so-and-so. She is or he is my business partner, my upline, my mentor. You can say whatever you want to say. Okay. But that's the next step. And they're just going to share a little bit more with you, be able to give you a little bit different perspective. I think you guys are going to have a lot in common. I just want you to see what an incredible team we have should you make the decision. Okay. And then they're like, okay, great. So you want to do it quickly. You want to schedule that when you're on the presentation call. Schedule the appointment. Now, you may not know what your team leader can do, but you want to go ahead and set that time. Talk to your leader, and if you need to go back and reschedule, then do that. But you've got a time already set. Your role in this validation call. This is super important. You're going to introduce, when you get on that call, you're going to introduce each person as if you were sitting in a coffee shop. Okay, so you don't just get on and be quiet and say nothing, because that's awkward. You wouldn't do that if you were in a social situation. You would so introduce your friend to your business partner, and you would give a little bit of information about each generally. And so that's what you do. You edify your upline, giving them kudos and props. And guys, it is not because they need to hear it or have their ego stroked, but the prospect needs to hear that this is a person that is worth them listening to. Okay. And then you want to obviously say some super nice things about your prospect to your upline. And then you just say, listen, I'm going to sit back, let you guys chat. And I just so appreciate you taking the time to do this. And then you just literally sit back and be quiet. That's what I did today. At the end of the call, I have learned over time, just like I said, right? We learn, we put into action. So that's testing it, and then we adjust. And so one of the adjustments I made was I used to just end the validation call and say, okay, thanks everybody, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? I wasn't setting the next time to talk. And we know that this business is a business of follow-up. Most people are not going to come into your business on the first exposure. It's normally many exposures, especially if you're talking business. So at the end of the call, what I have started doing is saying, hey, listen, I appreciate your help. So-and-so, talking to my upline. We're going to go ahead and let you go, but and so-and-so, the prospect and I are going to stay on the phone and finish up. So thanks for your time. And then they hop off, and then I'm left on the phone with the prospect. And then I can get their feedback. Because again, they don't know the upline, so they may not share with them as much as they would share with me. So we kind of have a little bit more discussion. I can discover kind of where they are, still where are they on their 1 to 10, and figure out where we're going next. A lot of times the question at that point is, so is there anything keeping you from getting going? Go ahead and getting enrolled. And then that opens up a discussion that we can then address and figure out where we're going. So that is the step 3. Step 4, again, is in the enrollment. And that's where you're going to ask them, is there anything keeping you from getting started today? I love this question. And you know why I do? Because it actually opens up the conversation for any objection that they may have. Now, you guys may be going, what? Why would I want to open up a conversation about objections? Because if your prospect has objections and you don't ask them, they're not generally going to bring them out. They're just going to say, well, you know what? Let me just think about it. Okay. there's generally not much to think about at this point. They've heard tons of information, and it's our job to figure out what is holding them back from getting started. Let's say that you asked that question and you said, well, I actually answered this wrong. So is there anything keeping you from getting started today? And I said, yes. This should actually be no. I just realized that. Sorry, guys. Because what you would do at that point, if there was nothing keeping them from getting started, is you would enroll them on the best pack for them. What, I don't know if you represent a service or a product line, but whatever it is, you want to pick out the very best pack for that person. Now, this could still be product. This may not necessarily be business, and you still could have gone through a validation call with somebody for product. They may have needed to talk to somebody who knew more about the product than you did, and that's perfectly okay. Then you're going to, if it is a business person, you're going to get them set up again before you get off this phone call. You're going to get them set up for their getting started strategy session. Now, if their answer is yes, there is something that's keeping me from getting started today, then you're going to address those objections and you're going to set a follow-up, okay? Because it may be that they need more information. Maybe they do need more, some things to look at. Maybe there's a meeting coming up. Maybe they need to talk to their spouse. And if they need to talk to their spouse, you want to be in that conversation because it's going to come much better from you than it is from them because they're not educated enough to know. So I'm going to pop back over and make sure you guys don't have any questions. Oh dear, lost the sound. Did everybody lose sound? I'm going to make sure. Hold on. Because if you did, I have no idea how to fix that. Okay, Jeff's saying he can hear. Okay. Vicki, if you can't hear, you might try going back out and coming back in. Okay. So let's move on. So that's the step 4. That's step 4 is enroll or set follow-up. Okay, step 5. This is your getting started strategy session and team building. And again, you can see that we've had an urgency with this entire process, right? This funnel. If you think about that funnel, you put all those people in the top. They may not all make it to step 2 of the presentation. And then all the people that made it to presentation may not make it because they may say, no, thanks, I'm not interested at all. So they may never make it to the validation call. The people who make it through the validation call may say, okay, I'm not really in a place to do anything. Let's follow up in 6 months. And then the very few that actually make it through to the getting started strategy session and team building, then you're going to set that up within best case scenarios within 24 to 48 hours. And truthfully, if you can do it when you enroll them, that's even better because you want to capitalize on the excitement that that person has. So the way you do this, guys, duplication is really what success looks like in network marketing. And so to set them up for success, you want to have your team's getting started strategy. I don't know, again, what your team specifically does. In our team, sorry, I had to get just a sip of water. In our team, a lot of times we start people with a business launch, and that's just kind of a big party that they invite lots of people to come hear about their business. And then we move into 3-way calls generally. And the 3-way calls can be set up from the people that can't come to the launch as well as people who live far away. And that's generally how we do it. There's some other things that we talk about in our getting started strategy session, but that's something that if you don't have in your team, then you may need to create it. You may need to be the leader. I don't know what your situation is in particular, but it's very important because this is where the duplication process comes into play big time, right? Which is what we know. What does J. Paul Getty say? He says, I would rather have 100, let's see, 1% of 100 people than 100% effort of my own. He understands leverage, and that's what network marketing allows us to do. So you want to get them plugged into your team ASAP. You want to introduce them, get them on a call if you guys have a team call or a team webinar, or if you have an actual team meeting in person. Whatever you've got going on, you want to get them plugged in quickly to the infrastructure. You want to demonstrate, guys, what's possible. And so by following this 5-step persuasion system, you have shown, and that your prospect has, and now your new teammate has seen in action the exact process of building a business and exactly what they need to go through. Now, they don't realize that's what it is, but it is. So at this point, you're trying to determine if you're going to lock arms with this new teammate and walk with them, run with them, or sprint with them. And that's up to the new teammate to make that decision on how quickly they want to go in their business. So let's talk about some things to do. This is the what, okay? We've got to commit to mastering the 5-step persuasion system. It's just, this is where success is built, right? Because we know that 80% of our time needs to be spent prospecting and telling the story. Because what do we also know? We know this is a numbers game. We know that the vast majority of people are not going to join us. So we are looking for that handful of people that are ready to run. And it takes sorting through a lot of people. So you got to decide. This is where it gets real practical, guys. And that's what you're going to find out about me. The more trainings that you attend is that I am super practical. I'm going to give things that are going to help you that I'm actually using in my own personal business. So how many people will you invite each day? How many step ones are you going to do each day? So a great way to keep track of that is to how many dials are you going to commit to each day? How many times are you going to pick up the phone and dial, or text? You know, I'm practicing actually with a text script right now that's working pretty well, that I'm excited about. I'm testing it right now to see what kind of results I get. But how many people are you going to invite? Are you going to call 10 people? Are you going to call 5 people? Are you going to call 20 people? I don't know. You have to decide that. How many presentations do you want to do each day? Do you want to do 1 presentation a day? Do you want to do 2? Do you want to do 1 a week? I don't know. How many new enrollments do you want each week? And so, guys, there really is a way to reverse engineer that. If you know that your ratio is, you have to talk to 10 people to find 3 or 1, let's say 1. Let's say you know you have to talk to 10 people to find 1. And you want 1 enrollment a week, okay? Well, if you have to share it with 10 people and do 10 presentations to find that 1, how many people are you going to have to actually call to get 10 to say yes, that they will actually get on do a presentation with you? Okay, that's how you kind of reverse engineer stuff, is think backwards, go to the end result and then work your way back. You want to make your plan and then you want to work your plan. This was actually a question I posed on my Facebook page this last week, was like, what's the biggest challenge in your business? And somebody said discipline. And it's true, guys. This business is easy to do and it's easy not to do. And it really takes you making the decision. Nobody else is going to do it for you. They're just not. Nobody else is going to do it for me. We have to learn to be our own manager and learn how to kick ourselves in the butt to do this. And this is where I want you guys to realize there is absolutely no failing in this business unless you quit. And I want you to write that in big, bold letters. The only way you fail is to quit, okay? A lot of times people think that failure is somebody saying no, or somebody not calling them back, or somebody getting started in the business and then dropping off and you never hear from them again. Guys, that's called normal. And the quicker that you can understand that, and the quicker that you can understand that this is a business of learning, testing, adjusting, teaching and repeating, the quicker this business is going to start to sail for you and start to take off. Because that's all it is. It is a process of learning, testing, adjusting, teaching, repeating. Those 5 steps we just went through. It's learning it, right? Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, testing it, going out, trying different ways to invite people. Remember, practicing it for a certain amount of time on a certain number of people. Don't jump around. Making adjustments. If you've talked to 20 people and you've used the exact same approach and it hasn't worked, well, let's think. Maybe we need to change something, right? That's what it's about. Teaching it, you're going to turn around and teach it to your team. Now, you may not have a team yet, but you're going to have one if you will get into activity. And then you're just going to repeat the process. That is the beauty of this business. A few side notes. This idea of mastery, guys, is over the next 3 to 5 years, okay? This is not tomorrow. We talk about in this profession all the time that we are compressing a 40-year plan to 4 years. Guys, it takes time. Think about people who go to college, right, to learn to be a teacher or to be a lawyer or anything in this world, really, even if it's not something you go to college for. Let's say it's more of a skill, right? Being an electrician or a plumber. Guys, people don't just jump in and start doing that. They commit to mastery, and mastery takes time. So that's the vision I want you to have. I want you to think about where you want to be in 5 years, okay? Just like we talked about a minute ago. And then I want you to reverse engineer that. What does that mean that you need to do in year 1 to get you to year 5? And then in year 2 to get you to year 5? And you have to go that way. This is a big one, guys. As entrepreneurs, we have got to learn how to handle the dips. And what I mean by that is the dips are the emotional, it's the emotional piece of our business, because we are going to hit them. We are going to hit times when there's a lot of people saying no. We're going to hit times where we feel like we don't have anybody to talk to. We're going to hit times where our whole team quits and we have to start over. Again, normal, normal, normal. That's all that is normal. And that's why having a strong upline too is so important, because those are the people that you want to reach up to. I actually have a blog post on that that's going to be coming out and then this week that y'all need to check out because it's pretty funny. I mean, it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time. But it's learning how to handle the dips. And this really is a matter of character. It's how you learn how to move through it, because we're going to have times when we're super excited and we're up on the mountain, and then we're going to hit a dip and go into the valley. But we got to stick with it through the valley so that we can get back up on the mountain and the excitement, and then we'll hit the dip again. That's just the way it goes. I want you to know that you are a director of due diligence. That is your title. That it is not our job to convince, coerce, or try to force anybody to do anything. Our job is to share information to give our prospects what they need to make the very best decision for themselves. And I tell my team all the time, you want to have high intention with every person that you talk to. You want the best for them. You're sharing what you have because you believe it can change their life, but you want to have low attachment to what they decide. If they decide this isn't for them, then we got to be okay with that. This is still a sorting process. So remember how we talked about in the beginning that we're sorting. And guys, the funnel, if you can think of that funnel, even though somebody comes out the bottom, and even though somebody enrolls and says, oh my gosh, I am your next powerhouse, guys, it's still sorting. You only need 2 to 3 people to help you become a millionaire or to become extremely successful in your company. But you're going to have to go through a bunch of people to find those 2 to 3 people that are the 4%ers. The majority of your team is going to be made up of the people who are just using the product and maybe using it or service and sharing it with a few people. They're not building a massive business, and that's okay, because that's perfect. We want that. We need that. But the sorting process continues. Even after you've gone through all 5 steps, you've done everything you can. It's still up to the person that you bring in to make the decision to do it or not. And if they don't, you got to have low attachment and just move forward. Love them where they are and move forward. So how do you keep track of prospects? I have found a great way to be able to take the 5-step persuasion system. I get a note card and I write the person's name on the note card with their phone number, and then I put the date, and then I write, called and left message, or called and set appointment. And then I keep track on that note card of what I've done with that person. So I always know where they are in the 5-step persuasion system. And then I have a little index card file that I've gotten some little separators for. And I have January through December. And then I've got the days in between the months, right? So 1 through 30 generally, or 31. And so what happens is if I talk to somebody today, and today is April the 1st, and let's say that I got to the end of, let's say we got through step 3 at the validation. Actually, that was what I did today with the gal, and she's not ready to enroll yet. She's still got some things going on in her world. And so we set a follow-up. Now, what I'll do is I'll stick her card in my box for next Wednesday, because I told her that I would circle back with her then if I hadn't heard from her before then and check in with her. And she was like, that's absolutely awesome. So it keeps you on track so that you know, and when you go to your card file next Wednesday, guess what? There's that person's card, and you pull it out and you know that's somebody that you need to call. So it's a beautiful system, works really, really well. So successful people, guys, rise up one more time. That's what they do. No matter how many times they fall down, they rise up one more time. So I really want to ask you that if you have gotten value from tonight, if this has helped you to, hopefully grow your business, to maybe become more of a master in your business, I would appreciate it if you wouldn't mind hopping over to my Facebook page, which is, it's right here, facebook.com/Emily Quisenberry fan page. And there's actually a post that I just posted on my Facebook page. If you wouldn't mind putting a comment with how maybe the webinar helped you, because I like to be able to put faces and names and see what's impacting your business and how things are resonating with you. I love people, and the biggest challenge with webinars is I can't see you and I can't talk with you, and that is hard for me because I love that piece of my business, but I love technology too. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, I would so appreciate it. And then guys, if you want more in-depth training on step 1, which is the invitation step, if you have not grabbed up my prospecting blueprint, please get that tonight. Grab that up. It's absolutely free. I've actually just redone the trainings and have kind of modified them a little bit and shortened them, which you'll probably appreciate. And they're helpful, and just share them with whoever you think would benefit from them. Give them this link and tell them to grab it themselves, because again, it's free and it's going to help you to get more people to talk to, which of course we know is our absolute goal in this business. So I really am pretty much done. So it's about 8:44. So I was shooting for 8:40. I think I did pretty well. I'm going to unshare. Hold on. Stop screen sharing. Okay, I'm back. Hi. So anyway, I hope that tonight has been super helpful. If anybody has questions, pop them into the chat. And if not, then we will definitely be closing this out here pretty quick. I hope, was this helpful for you guys? Just give you some information maybe that you didn't have, or helps you see things in a different way, maybe helps you feel a little bit more empowered, like you can have something to follow and know how to reach out to people and how to move them through a system that's going to help you to achieve your goals. Because this truly is, if you want to build a global team, it's this system over and over and over, these 5 steps over. That's the thing about this profession. It's not hard. It's not. Now, it's simple. I guess that's a better way to put it. It's simple, but it's not easy. because most people won't commit to mastery. They won't commit to the dips and to moving through the dips. And that's where you have to mind your mind. You have to plug into personal growth and development and really work on yourself as hard as you work on your business. That is, over my time in this profession, that has been, you'll see I have a whole bookshelf back here full of books, and I have another bookshelf next to it over here full of books. And I read a lot because and I listen a lot. Actually, I love to listen too when I'm working out. Most people listen to music. I don't. I listen to personal growth and development, but that's what works for me. So, okay, Vicki says yes, very helpful. Anybody have any other comments or thoughts? Because if not, we will say good night, and I will be having another webinar next Wednesday night. So if this has been helpful for you, I hope that you will share it with your team, share it with other people that you think would benefit from this information. So I'm going to go ahead and say good night, guys, and I will see you hopefully on my Facebook page and on the webinar next week. And if you're not on my email list, get on that, because you're going to want to hear that story that I'm going to tell this week on my blog about an experience when I had a meltdown in my business and hit a dip, a big dip. But we all do. So anyway, guys, I'm going to say good night. Y'all have a good one.